Yeah, hello everyone. We're starting a new video series and it's themed The Radiance of Autism, a golden gift. I have a dream that I believe is achievable, and I'm starting it with you. I'm aware that a lot of effort, a lot of studies, a lot of funding, government and from the private sector as well, has gone into funding activities relating to autism, helping to foster understanding of this gift. Before now, autism is being regarded as a disorder. Long ago, it was thought to be a disease, but it's generally acceptable now that it's not a disease and it's a disorder. I'm saying to you now that I think autism is a gift, it's not a disorder. I borrow a statement from Jim Quick. He says that the quickest way to learn is to empty yourself of everything you know about a subject, every knowledge you have about that subject, and start afresh. So I'm emptying myself of everything I've ever known about this subject, and I'm starting afresh with you today with this first video. We're going to grow. It's a journey, and I'm believing that at the end of this journey we'll come up with a product, a realism, a truth, a fact, and a gift to humanity that would enable us tapping more to that gift of autism. People with autistic gifts have been classified with several terms. They've been called people with unparalleled brilliance, contemptible individuals, contemptible and foolish individuals with boring studiousness. They've been classified as individuals with odd methods of behavior, with poor social skills, cold and indifferent, seeking alternative ways to communicate, and reclusive. They've been termed as individuals that have application and dedication in their tasks and activities. They've been classified as people who see things other people will see, people with amazing sense of humor, with great mathematical ability, photographic memory, and very visual thinkers. I agree with all of this. Now, there are lots of realizations that we're going to encounter in this video that would create a rethink and raise new research questions in the scientific world regarding autism in relation to humanity. It is generally believed that people with autistic gifts have a difficulty in communicating their thoughts to everyone around them. We don't doubt that. But let me ask you a question. Let me bring something to fore here. If you're 5 feet tall, you're 6 feet tall, and you're standing next to someone who's 10 feet tall, you normally look at that person as a giant. And somehow, somewhere, you feel a little intimidated. Now, how about if you're standing right next to someone who has an IQ that's 10 times bigger than yours? How does that make you feel? I'm mentioning this for a particular reason. There are various applications of this. Is it possible for us to be able to apply some of these technologies and extend this knowledge to be able to resolve issues of paralysis, issues of cancer? Is it possible for us to be able to apply these technologies and extend the science to be able to find and create and be able to enable us to understand autistic gifted people when they communicate at the high level, Yes, I believe that they communicate at a higher level than we do. Same way you can hear the ultrasonic sound, same way I believe that autistic people try to communicate. Alright, so in the next video series, we'll be talking about all the hype about aluminium. A lot of researchers have reported that aluminium content in brain tissues of donors known to have the golden gift of autism, was extremely high, and a lot of scientists seem to want to attribute that to the fact that aluminium is the most preferred adjuvant for vaccines. And there's a lot of hype about that. So in the next video, I'll be giving you a lot of information about that, and then we'll be going to it in detail. Um, we are all aware that aluminium has been used as an adjuvant for vaccines for decades now, and there's a lot of talk. And like I mentioned previously, a lot of attention has been given to the social dimensions of autism, and little or less attention has been directed towards looking at the biological and anatomical elements surrounding autism. And that is something we're going to talk about in this video and the next videos. It's important that we begin to look at it, from that perspective, because a lot of funding, a lot of activities, a lot of research, a lot of studies has gone into the examining the social dimension and dynamics of autism. But it's important we begin to look at the anatomical and biological elements surrounding it, and then we may be able to find a pathway to benefit from this golden gift. Everyone, we're still on the radiance of autism, a golden gift. In continuation of this video series, we're going to talk about the 30 most innovative people in autism who people classify as being autistic. And I'm borrowing this list from Laura Kiel-Martin, extracted from mastersinspecialeducation.com. The first of them is Portia Iverson. She was the founder of the Innovative Technology for Autism and the International Meeting for Autism Research. And she is also the co-founder of the Autism Genetic Resource Exchange and the Cure Autism Now Foundation, which is now part of Autism Speaks. The next is Temple Grandin, followed by Catherine Rice, Martha Hubbard, now Martha Hubbard, it's a pediatric neurologist and a neuroscientist and a brain development researcher, and she was awarded with the first Cure Autism Now Innovator Award. But there's something very interesting about her views and her opinion and her outlook regarding this gift. She describes autism as a process of brain changes and not something that someone is born with. All right? So that's an indication that autism is not a disease, in a sense, agreeably. It's not necessarily a disorder, but it's an outcome of some changes in the brain makeup. In other words, you can say it's an outcome of some form of brain mutation, some mutation of the genes, the cells of the brain. We'll talk about that a bit more later in this video. Susan Stokes, Amy Klein, Deborah Fain, Loni Zwagenbor, Lisa Crane, Wenda Stone, Helen Tager Flusberg, Geraldine Dawson, Sally Rogers, Robert Scores, Gregory Albert, Reen Arnold, Lara Gatley, Kate Fisk, Citronia Francis, and several others. Right, the next thing I'm going to tell you is really going to amaze you. Now I'm going to give you the names of history's 30 most inspiring people who has been classified to belong to the autism spectrum. Tell me what's next. All right. Now, first on the list is Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft Corporation. Benjamin Banneker, Tim Burton, Lewis Carroll, Henry Cavendish, Charles Darwin. We all know Charles Darwin. Michelangelo, the famous painter that created the famous painting in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican. Sir Isaac Newton, Wolfgang Mozart, the great composer. Satoshi Tajiri, Pokemon. You all know him, is renowned for creating the Pokemon game. And several others. Now, I started this video by talking about my dream. And I have a dream. And my dream is that it's possible to be able to bridge the gap of communication and enhance and enable us understand and appreciate the gift of autism, and also enable these gifted, uniquely gifted individuals to be able to communicate their extraordinary super intelligence and improve, or not improve as a matter of fact, to be able to communicate and enable this highly gifted individuals that we call autistic to be able to communicate their super intelligence, within their groups. I said I had a dream, and my dream that I hope to achieve with you is to be able to stir up this consciousness and effort into creating a device, creating a solution that bridges the gap between the gap of communications between highly gifted people and the rest of us. So many attempts have been made in this direction, and I'll just mention a few of them. First of all was the help design the autism glass system, which was a project of the Stanford University. They were researching a solution to develop a system using machine learning and artificial intelligence to automate facial expression recognition that runs on wearable glasses and delivers real-time social cues. And they tried it out on some kids, and they think they think they've made progress. Okay, that's one. And then Luisa D'Aminio and Paul Damuschel in Slate.com wrote about the Caspar robot, kinetics and synchronization and personal assistant robotics, originally conceived as part of a research project. And the purpose of this robot was basically, the objective was to develop a robotic therapy game to facilitate communication with autistic children and help them interact better with others. Now, several other features of several other devices and efforts and activities have been made several efforts and activities have been applied and funded to create, in an attempt to be able to create solutions. But those solutions were guided with knowledge in the background that autism is a syndrome, and individuals who are considered to be autistic have a problem, and that problem was social, and it wasn't biological, it wasn't anatomical, it was social. And from that perspective, variety of the solution models have been created with that fundamental, and driven with that fundamental motivation and thought. So right here and now, you and I, we're starting a new wave of thinking. We're looking at the creation of that gift in an individual. It's not being a social problem per se, but more or less like an anatomical problem. In other words, what am I trying to say? I'm saying that autism, it's very likely a result and an outcome of some changes in the brain makeup, in the anatomical brain makeup of an individual. You could say it's as a result, an outcome of a mutation of a cell or something. There have been so many prognoses to define the causes of autism, and it's been attributed to so many things. People talked about vaccines. Look, I just want to I would like to clear something here. We need vaccines. Without vaccines, a large proportion of the human race would have been wiped off already. We need vaccines, but we'll talk about that later in the next series of the video. All right. So an article I'd like to highlight is one titled "Technology Can Enable a New World for People with Autism," and it was written by Robert Skaba in Forbes.com on the 6th of April 2016. Something I picked up, something very interesting in his article was when he said that all of us possess special talents. However, while many have proclaimed the benefits of diversity, society has created stereotypes and cultural obstacles that make it difficult for neurodiverse individuals, those with different thinking styles. He didn't say autistic people, he said neurodiverse individuals, and I tend to agree with him. And those with different thinking styles. Some of the important information from his article that the cost of autism to the US is approximately $250 billion per year, and that more than 3.5 million Americans live with an autism spectrum disorder. That's his thoughts. Now we get to the high point of this video. I'm going to be talking to you about BCIs, NCIs, and DCIs. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about brain-computer interfaces, neural control interfaces, direct neural interfaces. Now, BCI, the brain-computer interfaces, is different from neuromodulation. BCIs allow for bidirectional information flow and directed at researching, mapping, assisting, augmenting, or repairing human cognitive or sensory motor functions. My dream is that I believe, and I said it's a journey I'm starting with you. I believe that we can tap into the benefits and the merits and the gift of autism with the application of artificial intelligence. So, BCIs is a starting point. Research on BCIs began in the 1970s at UCLA, University of California in Los Angeles, under a grant from the National Science Foundation, followed by a contract by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. Neuroprosthetics devices can substitute a motor, sensory, or cognitive modality that might have been damaged as a result of an injury, disease, or mutation in the brain. Now repeat that. Neuroprosthetics devices can substitute a motor, sensory, or cognitive modality that might have been damaged as a result of injury, disease, or mutation in the brain. There's an article in one of MIT's publication, the technologyreview.com, that highlighted something very interesting in this direction. Professor Musoni, a professor at Case Western Reserve University, and his scientific partner, Randolph Nudo of Kansas University Medical Center, had owned the trademark Neuralink since 2015 after creating their own startup company. But I'm not here to talk about Neuralink. I'm here to talk about their work that they started. That we would be able to relate to and project and see where that is possibly going to lead into finding a beautiful bridge, that would breach a natural gap of misunderstanding between us and the highly gifted individuals with autism. Now, this pair of neurotech researchers had developed a device that might help people with brain injuries. Starting in 2011, Musoni, a bioengineer, and Nudo, a brain specialist, began exploring an idea for an electronic brain chip to treat traumatic brain injury. The idea re-established damaged connections by recording neurons in one part of the brain and then transmitting the chatter to another. So the purpose of the device was basically to be able to breach the connections and replace whatever damaged component or cell, motor or sensory organ. Starting in 2011, Musoni, a bioengineer, and Nudo, a brain specialist, began exploring an idea for creating an electronic brain chip to treat traumatic brain injury. The idea was to re-establish damaged connections by recording neurons in one part of the brain and then transmitting the chatter to another with this chip. Neuralink has been acquired by Elon Musk. One may ask, why wasn't this fundamental work continued or progressed by other researchers? A statement from Nudo explained that, I quote, "The feeling among investors was reluctance to invest in invasive brain technology unless there's a very strong proof of principle. The place, now that's what he thought, and that's a fact. But his partner, Museni, has this to say. He says, he thinks the billionaire Elon Musk might be able to blast through these obstacles, and I agree with him 100%. And I agree with him 100%. Now, even though only a few types of electronic brain implants have ever reached the market, but there's one that's in the open market, the most widely employed and sold by medical device giant Medtronic. It's a deep brain stimulator able to stop the tremors of people with Parkinson's disease. More than 140,000 patients have received versions of Medtronic's stimulator, and the company's brain modulation division has about 500 million in annual sales. We're not talking about the commercial benefits here, but I'm bringing a point to fore that the drive to be able to create and to be able to apply AI to solving the communication problems, difficulties that we have with these highly gifted individuals. We all use Windows. Microsoft, as this is the largest corporation. Bill Gates is one of the most richest billionaires in the world, and he's autistic. Tell me. So he has a high IQ. He's intelligent. He's created so much, and he's still there. So the point here is for us to change, have a rethink, and begin to look at autism as a gift, a golden gift to humanity. And when that happens, we put ourselves in a vantage position to tap into its gift and merits and advance and be able to achieve faster progress in developing new technologies and getting to high. Alright, so that brings us to the conclusion of this video. In the next video, we'll be talking about all the hype about vaccines, and we'll be looking at some of the studies that have been done for and against that argument. We'll be looking at some of the biomedical prescriptions that have been promoted to address autism, and then would progress a drive to be able to create an AI solution to helping us tap deeper into this gift and advance the cause, the comfort, and the convenience of humanity. Because truly, you will agree with me, it's a golden gift. It's a golden gift. All right, see you then. Bye.